is Tony Tong. Tony, is probably you all know, is very well known here in Macau. He's with Pacific Neck Ventures Limited and has recently joined arguably the number 2 largest junket group in Macau with at Hang Seng. And all the way from Sweden, welcome, is Matthias Larsson. And Matthias has a very interesting career with a company called Izugu Live Casino. And also he was formerly with Ho Gaming. And as you know, Ho Gaming has quite an interesting history here in Macau. So today's session is about proxy betting. And has anybody actually seen proxy betting in action? So it's safe to say that it's quite new to most people. Proxy betting really is an ideal solution for players that, for whatever reason, can't visit the casino. And probably the number 1 reason here in Macau would be, particularly from China, would be the need to be the anonymity requirement. You know, a lot of high, powerful officials, some senior people in the military. Macau is a fishbowl, and you cannot come to Macau and not be noticed. Doesn't matter where you play, at some point somebody will notice you here, particularly if you're playing quite large. So proxy betting is a very, very good solution for these type of players to take advantage of. Proxy betting has been around for quite some time. As most of you probably will know, technology has moved on a long way, and of course live dealer software has considerably improved. Probably the first people to introduce the live dealer concept of software gaming was Stanley Ho through Ho Gaming, and I remember the product very well. It was, believe it or not, and for those of you who can remember dial-up, I'm not sure if many people can, but in those days it was an 80 meg download to access the website. So of course in today's high-speed internet technology, 80 megs of course is very small, but when you're talking about a dial-up scenario, it would take a really long time, and of course that doesn't even take into account when you lose the connection. So Ho Gaming, and Stanley Ho in particular, was very visionary in his approach to encouraging players to take advantage of internet gaming. And of course in our location here in Asia, really live dealer is the only product that the Asian player really wants to use. And linking that in with the sophistication now of technology and the way the software has advanced and still continues to advance, proxy betting is a very, very good business model and a very good business opportunity for the casinos. Unfortunately in Macau, we have a very sophisticated product in the software advances in proxy, but here in Macau it's a very unsophisticated method that's used to make use of that type of betting. In fact, proxy betting here in Macau is not regulated, and here we call it remote play. And remote play here simply means that I have my friend sitting on the table. He has a telephone. I'm in my office, wherever, perhaps somewhere in China, or perhaps somewhere else, and I'm simply giving him instructions over the phone to place bets for me. Now, of course, it begs the question about the security aspects and how trustworthy that individual might be who you've given your hard-earned cash to go to the casino and to play with. As a Westerner, I find it really quite unusual, but here in Asia, of course, those types of relationships are quite normal. Some of the ways that the operators here, trying to assist and trying to encourage this type of betting activity, sometimes they go to the lengths of even putting printers and fax machines on the table, and at the end of the shoe, they print out what the results were from that shoe, and also what the betting patterns were on that shoe, and they will actually fax that information back to the player whose proxy player is actually sat on the table playing. So there is an attempt to bring some sort of control and some sort of security relief to the person betting. Probably proxy betting first came into people's attention was when Jack Lamb, who probably most of you know is one of the older junketeers here in Macau, brought proxy betting into his casino operation in the Philippines, in Fontana. And Jack being Jack, and being ever the entrepreneur, probably took it to its first level, where he had quite attractive girls in the Philippines wearing headsets, and they would be betting on behalf of the customers who were not in the Philippines. As you know, most people from China don't really like to go to the Philippines because of the security aspects. And so it was a very, very good method for that casino to generate new revenues. In fact, it contributed up to 95% of that particular property's revenues. It's a very simple operation. The camera feed went up through surveillance and were then transmitted out onto the net through his servers, which he was allowed to have placed in Fontana itself. Of course, the question always asks is, well, how does the Chinese IPs actually monitor and how do they stop this type of activity? Well, I'm not a technical expert. I'm not sure Matthias is, but it was explained to me basically that they go through a lot of mirror ISPs, so they bounce around quite a lot, which makes it very difficult for the authorities to actually tie down where that activity is actually coming from. So that's a basic introduction to